I never expected that someone I trusted so completely could betray me in the worst possible way. It all began on a chilly autumn evening as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across my cozy apartment. I had just finished a long day at work and was looking forward to a quiet evening. Little did I know, my life was about to take a dramatic turn. My name is Alex, and for as long as I can remember, my best friend Jenna has been a constant presence in my life. We grew up together, went to the same schools, and even ended up working at the same company. Jenna was more than a friend. She was like a sister to me. We shared everything, our dreams, our fears, and our deepest secrets. I trusted her implicitly, never once questioning her loyalty. That evening, I decided to get some work done from home. My laptop was acting up, so I borrowed Jenna's spare one, which she had left at my place the previous weekend. As I powered it on, a notification popped up, a reminder for a meeting Jenna had scheduled. Out of curiosity, I clicked on it, and that's when I stumbled upon a folder labeled Confidential. At first, I hesitated. This was Jenna's personal laptop, and I felt a pang of guilt for invading her privacy. But something about the folder drew me in. It was locked, requiring a password to open. Jenna and I had shared so many passwords over the years for various accounts and services, so I tried a few combinations. On the third attempt, the folder unlocked. What I found inside shook me to my core. The folder contained a series of documents, emails, and photos, evidence of illegal activities Jenna was involved in. There were emails discussing bribes, photos of illicit transactions, and detailed plans outlining the manipulation of company stocks. It was a side of Jenna I had never known, a side that was cunning, deceitful, and dangerous. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the files. How could she have hidden this from me? The Jenna I knew was kind, generous, and always stood up for what was right. But the evidence before me painted a very different picture. I felt a wave of nausea and betrayal. I had to confront her, but I knew I needed to be careful. If this information fell into the wrong hands, it could ruin her, and potentially implicate me as well. Unable to contain my shock, I called Jenna immediately. "Hey Jenna, it's Alex, we need to talk. Can you come over?" My voice was steadier than I felt. "Sure, Alex, is everything okay?" Jenna's voice was calm, but I detected a hint of apprehension. "Just come over. It's important," I replied, trying to keep my emotions in check. Jenna arrived at my apartment within 20 minutes. She looked concerned, and for a moment I almost believed that the Jenna I knew and trusted was still the same person. But the evidence was undeniable. "What's going on, Alex?" she asked as she stepped inside. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "I was using your laptop and I found something, a folder labeled Confidential." Jenna's face paled. "You went through my files?" Her voice was a mixture of anger and fear. "I didn't mean to, but I found things, Jenna. Things that could destroy you. Illegal activities, bribes, stock manipulation. How could you hide this from me?" I demanded, my voice rising with each word. Jenna's eyes darted around the room, as if looking for an escape. Then, something shifted in her expression, a cold, calculating look I had never seen before. "Alex, you shouldn't have seen those files," she said, her voice low and menacing. "What are you talking about?" I asked, bewildered by her sudden change in demeanor. Jenna took a step closer, her eyes locking onto mine. "You have no idea what you're getting into. Those files were never meant for you. But now that you know, I can't let you walk away." My heart pounded in my chest. This was not the Jenna I knew. This was someone else entirely, someone dangerous. "What do you mean you can't let me walk away?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Jenna sighed, a resigned look on her face. "Alex, I have information on you too. Things that could ruin your career, your life. If you even think about exposing me, I'll make sure you're dragged down with me." I was stunned. Jenna, my best friend, was blackmailing me. The room seemed to spin as I processed her words. How could she do this to me? We had shared everything, and now she was using that against me. I had to find a way out of this, but for now, I was trapped by someone I had trusted completely. As Jenna left my apartment, I knew I had to be careful. The stakes were higher than I had ever imagined. I needed a plan, and I needed it fast. But one thing was clear, I could never trust Jenna again. As Jenna left my apartment, I knew I had to be careful. The stakes were higher than I had ever imagined. I needed a plan, and I needed it fast. But one thing was clear: I could never trust Jenna again. The days following Jenna's departure were a whirlwind of fear and confusion. My once comfortable life had been turned upside down, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every time my phone buzzed or I heard an unexpected noise, my heart would leap into my throat. Jenna had all the power now, and she knew it. It didn't take long for her to make her first demand. I received a text message from an unknown number, but I recognized the tone immediately. "Alex, I need you to transfer $10,000 from the company's account to this offshore account. Do it by tomorrow, or everyone will know about your indiscretion from last year." My blood ran cold. She was referring to a mistake I had made, a misfiled document that had almost cost the company a major client. Jenna had been the one to help me cover it up, and now she was using it against me. She knew I couldn't afford for that information to get out, especially now that I was up for a promotion. Feeling cornered, I complied with her demand. The guilt gnawed at me as I made the transfer, knowing that I was not only breaking the law, but also betraying the trust of my colleagues. But what choice did I have? Jenna had me trapped, and she knew just how to keep tightening the noose. The next demand came a week later. This time, it was more personal. "Meet with Mr. Benson and convince him to approve the new project. Use your charm, Alex. If you don't, I'll leak those emails you sent to your ex, the ones where you admitted to lying about the merger details." I felt sick. Mr. Benson was a senior partner at our firm, known for his integrity and strict adherence to the rules. Convincing him to approve a dubious project would be nearly impossible, but the alternative was even worse. Those emails were a moment of weakness, a desperate attempt to save my relationship at the time, and they would paint me in a very bad light if made public. I arranged a meeting with Mr. Benson, putting on my most convincing act. Every word felt like poison on my tongue, but I managed to sway him, promising results and downplaying the risks. He reluctantly agreed, and I walked out of his office feeling like I had sold a piece of my soul. Each task Jenna gave me was a new descent into darkness. She made me alter financial records, fabricate reports, and even plant evidence to sabotage a rival employee. Each act was a stain on my conscience, but Jenna's threats were ever present, and the fear of exposure kept me obedient. The worst part was the isolation. I couldn't talk to anyone about what was happening. My friends and colleagues noticed my increasing anxiety and erratic behavior, but I couldn't risk confiding in anyone. Jenna's reach seemed omnipresent, and I was terrified that any slip-up would lead to her unleashing her arsenal of blackmail material. As the weeks turned into months, I felt myself changing. The constant stress and fear eroded my sense of self. I became paranoid, constantly looking over my shoulder and second-guessing everyone's intentions. My performance at work began to suffer, and I knew it was only a matter of time before someone noticed. Yet, the alternative, defying Jenna and facing her wrath, was unthinkable. One night, as I sat in my apartment, staring blankly at the walls, my phone buzzed again. Another message from Jenna. This time, it was a request I couldn't ignore. "Meet me tomorrow at the old warehouse by the docks. 9 p.m. Bring the files on the new project. Don't be late." The old warehouse was a place we used to go as kids, a place filled with memories of better times. The irony wasn't lost on me. I knew this meeting was crucial, and I needed to prepare. I couldn't keep living under Jenna's thumb, but confronting her directly was a risk I had to carefully calculate. The following day dragged on interminably. I went through the motions at work, my mind preoccupied with the upcoming meeting. By the time evening came, I was a bundle of nerves, my thoughts racing with all the possible outcomes of our encounter. At 9 p.m. sharp, I arrived at the warehouse, the cool night air prickling my skin. Jenna was already there, waiting in the shadows. She stepped forward as I approached, her face unreadable in the dim light. "Do you have the files?" she asked, her voice devoid of the warmth I once knew. I nodded, handing over the briefcase containing the documents. "Jenna, we can't keep doing this. It's tearing me apart." She smirked, a cruel glint in her eye. "You think this is about you, Alex? This is bigger than you, bigger than both of us. As she spoke, I realized just how far gone she was. The friend I once knew was buried beneath layers of deceit and ambition, but I had a plan. Jenna wasn't the only one capable of playing dirty. I had been gathering evidence of my own, documenting her every move, and compiling a dossier that could expose her. "Jenna, this ends tonight," I said, my voice firm, despite the fear gnawing at my insides. Her eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" I took a deep breath, bracing myself for what was to come. "I've recorded everything, all your demands, the illegal activities, the blackmail. It's all documented and ready to be sent to the authorities." For a moment, there was silence. Then Jenna laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. "You think you can outsmart me? You have no idea who you're dealing with." As the tension between us reached its peak, I knew there was no turning back. The confrontation was inevitable, and the outcome uncertain. But one thing was clear: I couldn't continue living under Jenna's control. This was a fight for my freedom, and I was prepared to risk everything to reclaim my life. Jenna's laughter echoed in the empty warehouse, a chilling reminder of how far she had fallen from the person I once trusted. The stakes were higher than ever, and I knew this confrontation could end in more than just words. "I didn't come here to play games, Jenna," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm serious. I've got everything documented. It's all ready to go." Jenna's smirk faded, replaced by a look of cold calculation. "And what do you expect to happen, Alex? You think they'll believe you over me? I've covered my tracks too well." She had a point. Jenna was smart and meticulous, but I had one last card to play. "I know you have more to lose than I do. If this goes public, your whole operation will come crashing down. Your connections, your money, your reputation, gone. You're not the only one with a secret." Jenna's eyes narrowed, but I could see the flicker of doubt. She was weighing her options, considering the risk. For the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope that I might have the upper hand. "You're bluffing," she said finally, though her voice lacked conviction. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone, showing her the screen. "I've got everything saved to the cloud, with instructions to be sent to multiple news outlets and law enforcement if anything happens to me. You can't silence me without destroying yourself." Jenna's face twisted with rage. She stepped closer, her eyes burning with intensity. "You think you're clever, Alex? You think you can just walk away from this?" I stood my ground, my heart pounding. "I don't want to destroy you, Jenna. I just want out. Stop the blackmail, let me go, and I'll keep your secrets. But this ends tonight." For a moment, we stood there in silence, the weight of our shared history hanging between us. I saw a flash of something in Jenna's eyes, regret, perhaps, or maybe fear. Then she took a step back, her shoulders slumping. "Fine," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But if you cross me, Alex, I won't hesitate to take you down with me." I nodded, relief washing over me. "I understand. Just let me go." Jenna handed back the briefcase with the files, and without another word, she turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows. I stood there for a few moments, processing what had just happened. It felt surreal, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. As I made my way back to my apartment, I knew that this wasn't the end. Jenna was still out there, and she was still dangerous. But for now, I was free. I had my life back, and I was determined to rebuild it. The paranoia didn't disappear overnight, but slowly, I began to feel like myself again. I reconnected with friends and family, explaining my odd behavior as stress from work. It wasn't a complete lie, but it was close enough to the truth to be believable. One evening, months after the confrontation, I received a package at my door. It was from Jenna. Inside was a simple note. "Thank you for the warning, I'm out too." Along with the note was a small silver bracelet, one I had given her years ago as a token of our friendship. I didn't know what had prompted her change of heart, but I hoped it was genuine. Maybe in her own way, Jenna had found a path to redemption, or maybe it was another ploy. Either way, I knew I had to stay vigilant. Life went on, and I did my best to put the past behind me. The experience had left its scars, but it also taught me valuable lessons about trust, resilience, and the lengths people will go to protect their secrets. I couldn't change what had happened, but I could control my future. In the end, I chose to move forward, determined to live my life free from fear and manipulation. Jenna's shadow might always linger at the edges of my consciousness, but I was stronger now.